Afghanistan, a landlocked nation nestled in the heart of Asia, evokes images of rugged mountains, ancient traditions, and unfortunately, in recent times, conflict. However, Afghanistan's story is far richer and more complex than often portrayed. Its strategic location, at the crossroads of ancient trade routes and empires, has shaped its destiny for millennia. From the conquerors who traversed its mountain passes to the traders who exchanged goods and ideas, Afghanistan has been a witness to the ebb and flow of history. This strategic importance has come at a cost. Afghanistan has been a prize sought by empires, leading to centuries of conflict. Yet amidst the turmoil, the Afghan people have demonstrated remarkable resilience. They have clung to their traditions, their languages, and their identity. Understanding Afghanistan requires delving into its past. This journey through time will explore the empires that rose and fell, the religions that took root, and the cultural expressions that flourished in this land. We will trace the threads of its history, from the earliest human settlements to the modern challenges it faces. In doing so, we hope to shed light on the complexities of Afghanistan, a nation forever marked by its past, yet striving towards an uncertain future. The story of Afghanistan begins long before the arrival of empires. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans have inhabited this land for at least 50,000 years. These early inhabitants, much like people across the globe, sought fertile lands for agriculture and sought shelter in the region's many caves and valleys. As centuries turned into millennia, these settlements grew and evolved. The discovery of agriculture led to more permanent settlements and the development of early forms of social organization. Afghanistan's location at the crossroads of Asia placed it on the cusp of major cultural and technological exchanges. This strategic location became even more significant with the emergence of the Silk Road. This network of trade routes spanning from China to the Mediterranean transformed Afghanistan into a vital hub. Goods, ideas, and religions flowed through its bustling cities and mountain passes. The Silk Road brought immense wealth to Afghanistan. Cities like Balkh, Herat, and Kandahar became centers of commerce, attracting merchants and travelers from distant lands. This influx of trade also facilitated cultural exchange. Buddhism, which originated in India, found fertile ground in Afghanistan, leaving behind magnificent monuments like the Bamiyan Buddhas. This period of vibrant trade and cultural exchange laid the foundation for the empires that would follow. Afghanistan's strategic location, coupled with its burgeoning wealth, made it a desirable prize for ambitious rulers. The stage was set for the arrival of some of history's most influential empires. The 6th century BCE marked a turning point in Afghanistan's history with the arrival of Cyrus the Great, founder of the mighty Achaemenid Empire. The Persian Empire under Cyrus stretched from the Indus Valley to the Aegean Sea, encompassing vast swaths of Central Asia, including Afghanistan. The Achaemenids, known for their administrative efficiency, divided their empire into provinces or satrapies for easier governance. Afghanistan, then known by its regional names like Arachosia, Bactria, and Sogdiana, became an integral part of this vast imperial system. Persian rule brought about a period of relative stability and prosperity. Trade flourished, and Persian cultural influences began to seep into Afghan society. However, this period of Persian dominance was not to last. In 330 BCE, Alexander the Great, the Macedonian king who had conquered Persia, arrived in Afghanistan. Alexander's conquest marked a new chapter in Afghan history, introducing Greek culture and ideas. He founded cities including Alexandria Arachosia, present-day Kandahar, leaving behind a lasting Hellenistic legacy. Following Alexander's death, his vast empire fragmented. Afghanistan came under the rule of the Seleucids, one of the successor states to Alexander's empire. The Seleucids continued the process of Hellenization, promoting Greek language and culture. However, their control gradually weakened, paving the way for the emergence of a new power, the Kushans. The Kushan Empire, emerging from Central Asia in the 1st century CE, ushered in a golden age for Afghanistan. The Kushans, under rulers like Kanishka the Great, controlled a vast territory encompassing parts of Central Asia, Afghanistan, and northern India. Kanishka, a shrewd strategist and a patron of the arts, made Afghanistan the heart of his empire. He established his capital in Peshawar, present-day Pakistan, but cities like Bamiyan and Balkh flourished as major commercial and cultural centers. The Kushans embraced Buddhism, which had already taken root in Afghanistan during the Silk Road era. Kanishka himself converted to Buddhism, becoming a great patron of the faith. Buddhist monasteries and stupas dotted the Afghan landscape, attracting monks, scholars, and pilgrims from far and wide. The Bamiyan Buddhas, two colossal statues carved into the cliffs of the Bamiyan Valley, stand as a testament to the Kushans' patronage of Buddhism. These towering figures, once the largest standing Buddha statues in the world, represent the peak of Gandharan art, a unique style that blended Greek, Roman, and Indian influences. Under the Kushans, Afghanistan became a vibrant cultural melting pot. The Silk Road, revitalized under their rule, brought merchants and travelers from China, India, Persia, and the Roman Empire. This fusion of cultures enriched Afghan art, architecture, music, and literature. The Kushan period is remembered as a time of peace, prosperity, and unparalleled cultural exchange, leaving an enduring legacy on Afghanistan's identity. The 7th century CE marked a profound shift in Afghanistan's religious and cultural landscape with the arrival of Islam. Arab armies carrying the banner of Islam swept across Persia and into Afghanistan, bringing an end to the Sasanian Empire and ushering in a new era. The Islamic conquest of Afghanistan, however, was a gradual process. It began in the mid-7th century, but it was not until the 9th century that Islam became firmly established throughout the region. Initial resistance from local rulers eventually gave way to acceptance, and Islam gradually took root in Afghan society. The arrival of Islam had a profound impact on Afghanistan. It introduced a new faith, a new legal system, and a new social order. Arabic became the language of administration and scholarship, while mosques and madrasas or religious schools became centers of learning and community life. Following the initial conquest, Afghanistan came under the rule of various Islamic dynasties, including the Samanids and the Tahirids. These dynasties, though centered outside present-day Afghanistan, played a crucial role in spreading Islamic culture and consolidating Muslim rule in the region. The Samanids, in particular, are credited with promoting Persian language and culture. Their court in Bukhara became a center of Persian literary and artistic renaissance. This period saw the emergence of renowned Persian poets like Rudaki, considered the father of Persian poetry. The arrival of Islam marked a turning point in Afghanistan's history. It brought about a new religious and cultural identity, laying the foundation for the development of Afghan society in the centuries to come. As the 10th century dawned, new powers emerged in Afghanistan, eager to leave their mark on history. The Ghaznavids, of Turkic origin, rose to prominence in the late 10th century, establishing a vast empire that stretched from eastern Iran to northwestern India. Mahmud of Ghazni, the most famous Ghaznavid ruler, is a controversial figure in South Asian history. Known for his military prowess and his 17 raids into India, he is both reviled for the destruction he wrought and admired for his patronage of the arts. Mahmud's court in Ghazni became a center of learning, attracting scholars and poets from across the Islamic world. He commissioned the construction of mosques, libraries, and palaces, transforming Ghazni into a major city. Following the decline of the Ghaznavids, another dynasty, the Ghurids, rose to prominence in the 12th century. The Ghurids, also of Turkic origin, expanded their empire from their base in central Afghanistan, eventually eclipsing the Ghaznavids and conquering much of northern India. The Ghurids are particularly known for their architectural achievements. They built impressive mosques, minarets, and madrasas, many of which still stand today as testaments to their architectural prowess. The Minaret of Jam, a UNESCO World Heritage Site located in a remote valley in Afghanistan, is a stunning example of Ghurid architecture. The Ghaznavid and Ghurid periods were marked by both military campaigns and cultural achievements. These dynasties, through their conquests and patronage, played a crucial role in shaping the political and cultural landscape of Afghanistan and beyond. The 13th century brought about one of the most devastating periods in Afghanistan's history, the Mongol invasion. Genghis Khan, the Mongol warlord who united the Mongol tribes and forged a vast empire, turned his attention towards Afghanistan in the early 13th century. The Mongol invasion was an unprecedented catastrophe for Afghanistan. Cities that had flourished for centuries like Balkh and Herat were razed to the ground. Libraries and centers of learning were destroyed, and irrigation systems, vital for agriculture, were devastated. The Mongol conquest of Afghanistan was swift and brutal. The Mongols, known for their equestrian skills and military tactics, overwhelmed the fragmented Afghan resistance. Cities that resisted were subjected to unimaginable brutality, with entire populations massacred. The destruction of Balkh, once a renowned center of learning and trade, exemplifies the Mongols' ruthlessness. Known as the Mother of Cities, Balkh was reduced to rubble, its population decimated. The Mongol invasion had a devastating impact on Afghanistan's social, cultural, and economic fabric. It shattered the existing political order, decimated the population, and destroyed much of the infrastructure that had been built over centuries. The Mongol conquest marked a dark chapter in Afghanistan's history, leaving behind a trail of destruction and ushering in a period of instability and uncertainty. From the ashes of the Mongol destruction emerged a period of cultural rebirth under the Timurids. Timur, also known as Tamerlane, a Turkic conqueror who claimed descent from Genghis Khan, conquered Persia and Afghanistan in the late 14th century. Timur, though a ruthless conqueror, was also a patron of the arts and sciences. He made Samarkand, his capital, a center of learning and culture. His grandson, Shah Rukh, continued this legacy, moving his court to Herat and ushering in a golden age for the city. Under Shah Rukh and his wife, Gauhar Shad, Herat became a renowned center of Islamic art, architecture, literature, and scholarship. Gauhar Shad, a powerful figure in her own right, played a crucial role in patronizing the arts and transforming Herat into a cultural hub. The Timurid period witnessed a flourishing of Persian literature. Poets like Jami and Hafiz produced works of great beauty and depth, while scholars and scientists made significant contributions in fields like astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. The Timurids were master builders, and Herat became a showcase for their architectural prowess. Mosques, madrasas, libraries, and hospitals were built, adorned with intricate tilework, calligraphy, and geometric designs. The Musalla complex, a grand religious complex commissioned by Gauhar Shad, stands as a testament to the Timurids' architectural genius. The Timurid Renaissance, though relatively short-lived, left an enduring legacy on Afghanistan's cultural landscape. Herat, during this period, became a beacon of knowledge and creativity, its influence radiating far beyond its borders. The 16th century witnessed the rise of the Mughals, a dynasty of Turco-Mongol origin, who established a vast empire in India. Babur, the founder of the Mughal dynasty, conquered Kabul in 1504, incorporating Afghanistan into his growing empire. The Mughals, however, faced challenges in consolidating their control over Afghanistan. Local tribes, fiercely independent and resistant to outside rule, posed a constant challenge to Mughal authority. The Safavids, a Persian dynasty that rose to power in the 16th century, also contested Mughal control over Afghanistan. The Safavids, adherents of Shia Islam, clashed with the Sunni Mughals, leading to a series of conflicts over control of the region. Amidst this contest for power, a new force emerged in the 18th century, one that would shape the destiny of Afghanistan: Ahmad Shah Durrani. Durrani, a Pashtun military commander, unified the Pashtun tribes and established the Durrani Empire in 1747. Ahmad Shah Durrani, known as the father of modern Afghanistan, expanded his empire through military conquests, incorporating territories from Persia in the west to Punjab in the east. He established Kabul as his capital, laying the foundation for a unified Afghan state. The Durrani Empire, though short-lived, marked a turning point in Afghan history. For the first time, Afghanistan emerged as a unified and independent nation, free from foreign domination. Ahmad Shah Durrani's legacy as a unifier and a national hero continues to resonate in Afghanistan today. The 19th century marked a turning point in Afghanistan's history, as it became entangled in the Great Game, a strategic rivalry between the British Empire, expanding its influence from India, and the Russian Empire, pushing southwards into Central Asia. Afghanistan, situated at the crossroads of these competing empires, became a buffer state, a strategic prize sought by both powers. This rivalry led to a series of conflicts known as the Anglo-Afghan Wars, spanning almost a century. The First Anglo-Afghan War, from 1839 to 1842, began with a British invasion, driven by concerns over Russian influence in Afghanistan. The British installed a puppet ruler in Kabul, but their occupation was short-lived. A popular uprising forced the British to withdraw, suffering heavy losses in the process. The Second Anglo-Afghan War, from 1878 to 1880, saw another British invasion, again prompted by fears of Russian expansion. The British were victorious, forcing the Afghan ruler to accept British control over foreign affairs. The Third Anglo-Afghan War in 1919 marked the final chapter in this struggle for independence. Amanullah Khan, the Afghan ruler, declared full independence from British control, triggering a brief but decisive conflict. The Third Anglo-Afghan War ended in an Afghan victory, securing Afghanistan's full independence. The Treaty of Rawalpindi, signed in 1921, recognized Afghanistan's sovereignty, ending decades of British interference in Afghan affairs. The Anglo-Afghan Wars had a profound impact on Afghanistan. They left the country impoverished, its infrastructure devastated. However, these conflicts also instilled a strong sense of nationalism and a determination to resist foreign domination. Section 11. Into the Modern Era: Monarchy, Reforms, and the Shadow of Conflict. After gaining full independence in 1919, Afghanistan embarked on a path of modernization under the leadership of King Amanullah Khan. Amanullah, a progressive ruler, sought to reform Afghan society, drawing inspiration from the modernization efforts of Turkey under Kemal Ataturk. Amanullah implemented a series of reforms aimed at modernizing Afghanistan's education system, legal code, and social customs. He encouraged women's education, abolished polygamy, and adopted Western dress codes for government officials, challenging traditional norms. Amanullah's reforms, however, faced resistance from conservative elements within Afghan society who viewed his modernization efforts as a threat to traditional values and Islamic principles. This opposition culminated in a rebellion in 1929, forcing Amanullah to abdicate and flee the country. Following a period of instability, Zahir Shah, Amanullah's cousin, ascended to the throne in 1933. Zahir Shah's reign, which lasted for 4 decades, was marked by a more cautious approach to modernization. Zahir Shah focused on infrastructure development, education, and economic growth. He maintained a policy of non-alignment during the Cold War, receiving aid from both the United States and the Soviet Union. However, political tensions simmered beneath the surface. The rise of communism, particularly among intellectuals and students, challenged the monarchy. In 1964, a new constitution was adopted, transforming Afghanistan into a constitutional monarchy, but also paving the way for future political upheavals. In 1973, Mohammad Daoud Khan, Zahir Shah's cousin and former prime minister, seized power in a bloodless coup, abolishing the monarchy and proclaiming Afghanistan a republic. Daoud Khan's coup marked a turning point, setting in motion a chain of events that would plunge Afghanistan into decades of conflict. The overthrow of the monarchy in 1973 ushered in a period of political turmoil and ideological struggle in Afghanistan. Mohammad Daoud Khan, the new president, sought to modernize Afghanistan, but his rule was marked by authoritarianism and political repression. The People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan, or PDPA, a communist party that had gained influence in the 1960s, staged a coup in 1978, overthrowing Daoud Khan and establishing a communist government. The PDPA, however, was deeply divided along ideological lines, and its rule was characterized by internal power struggles and brutal repression. The PDPA's radical reforms, aimed at transforming Afghan society along communist lines, alienated large segments of the population, particularly in rural areas. These reforms, which included land redistribution, the abolition of traditional customs, and the promotion of atheism, were met with armed resistance. The Soviet Union, fearing the collapse of the communist regime in Afghanistan, sent troops in December 1979, propping up the PDPA government and triggering a decade-long war. The Soviet invasion transformed the Afghan conflict into a Cold War proxy war, with the United States, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and other countries providing support to the Afghan resistance. The Afghan Mujahideen, a diverse group of Islamic fighters united in their opposition to the communist regime and the Soviet presence, waged a fierce guerrilla war against the Soviet army and the Afghan government forces. The Mujahideen, backed by foreign support, received training and weapons, including Stinger missiles from the United States, which proved effective against Soviet helicopters. The Soviet-Afghan War had a devastating impact on Afghanistan. Millions of Afghans were displaced, seeking refuge in neighboring Pakistan and Iran, while millions more were killed or injured. The country's infrastructure was devastated, and its economy lay in ruins. The Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan in 1989 did not bring an end to the conflict. The Mujahideen, victorious against the Soviet army, turned their guns on each other, plunging Afghanistan into a brutal civil war. Amidst the chaos and destruction, a new force emerged, the Taliban. The Taliban, meaning students in Pashto, emerged in the early 1990s from the chaos of the Afghan civil war. Composed primarily of Pashtun students from religious schools in Pakistan, the Taliban promised to restore order and impose Islamic law. Led by Mullah Muhammad Omar, a reclusive cleric, the Taliban quickly gained control of large swaths of Afghanistan, capturing Kabul in 1996 and establishing the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. The Taliban imposed a strict interpretation of Islamic law, or Sharia, severely restricting women's rights, banning music and television, and carrying out public executions. The Taliban's rule was characterized by brutality and repression. They persecuted religious minorities, destroyed ancient Buddhist statues in Bamiyan, and provided sanctuary to Osama bin Laden and his al-Qaeda terrorist network. The 9/11 terrorist attacks on the United States, planned by al-Qaeda from their safe haven in Afghanistan, led to the US-led invasion of Afghanistan in October 2001. The United States, with the support of international allies, quickly ousted the Taliban from power, driving them into hiding or exile. The US invasion marked the beginning of a new chapter in Afghanistan's history, one marked by foreign intervention, attempts at nation-building, and the enduring legacy of conflict. Following the US-led invasion in 2001, Afghanistan entered a period of significant transition and uncertainty. The international community, led by the United States, embarked on an ambitious effort to rebuild Afghanistan, establish a democratic government, and train Afghan security forces. A new constitution was adopted in 2004, paving the way for democratic elections. Hamid Karzai, a Pashtun leader, became the first elected president of Afghanistan, ushering in a period of relative stability and hope. However, the Taliban, though weakened, were not defeated. They regrouped in their sanctuaries in Pakistan and launched an insurgency against the Afghan government and foreign forces. The Taliban insurgency, fueled by widespread corruption, a weak Afghan government, and continued foreign military presence, gained momentum in the following years. The United States and its NATO allies gradually withdrew their combat forces from Afghanistan, handing over security responsibilities to the Afghan security forces. However, the Afghan army and police, plagued by corruption, poor leadership, and low morale, proved ill-equipped to counter the resurgent Taliban. In August 2021, as the United States completed its withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Taliban launched a lightning offensive, capturing Kabul on August 15, 2021, and regaining control of the country. The fall of Kabul marked a dramatic end to the 20-year US-led intervention in Afghanistan and ushered in a new era of Taliban rule. The Taliban's return to power in 2021 has plunged Afghanistan into a humanitarian and human rights crisis. The international community, wary of the Taliban's history of brutality and their links to terrorist groups, has largely isolated Afghanistan, freezing assets and halting aid, pushing the country to the brink of economic collapse. The Taliban, facing international pressure and internal challenges, have attempted to present a more moderate face to the world, promising to uphold women's rights within the framework of Islam and prevent Afghanistan from becoming a haven for terrorists. However, their actions have so far failed to match their rhetoric. The Taliban have imposed severe restrictions on women's rights, banning girls from secondary education, barring women from most workplaces, and imposing strict dress codes. They have cracked down on dissent, silencing journalists, activists, and anyone perceived as critical of their rule. The humanitarian situation in Afghanistan is dire. Millions face starvation, healthcare systems are collapsing, and the economy is in freefall. The United Nations has described the situation as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Despite the immense challenges, the Afghan people, particularly women and young people, continue to demonstrate remarkable resilience. They are raising their voices, demanding their rights, and working to rebuild their shattered lives. The future of Afghanistan remains uncertain. The Taliban face internal divisions, economic collapse, and international isolation. The Afghan people, meanwhile, yearn for peace, stability, and a brighter future. The international community has a moral obligation to provide humanitarian assistance to the Afghan people and to use its leverage to pressure the Taliban to uphold human rights, particularly women's rights, and prevent further suffering. Afghanistan's long and turbulent history is a testament to the resilience of its people and the complexities of its geostrategic location. The path ahead will be fraught with challenges, but the Afghan people deserve the support of the international community as they strive to rebuild their nation and secure a more peaceful and prosperous future.